morning, college football fans, and welcome to 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your directory for all that is sports. I'll tell you, we had ourselves quite the week last week. My goodness. I mean, we talked about this game last week for a cool minute, and well, it happened. History has repeated itself, and the mighty have fallen. Ferris State will fall to Grand Valley State, and this was not a close game whatsoever. This was pretty much a beatdown. Yes, a lot of points were scored, but Ferris State looked pretty strong. Riverside Community College actually falls down to second place due to points. Right. However, City College of San Francisco is pretty strong at the top, as the Rams are now number 1 in California. Also, this past week in the NJCAA, it was pretty crazy as Butler handed Iowa Central's backside to them, basically. That was something else. Kind of the first loss of the season. Butler is not to be played with. We have a kid who rushed for 122 yards and threw for 119 in the NAIA. Anybody want to guess who that one is? It's our buddy Devontae Baker. Amazing young guy we'll be talking about in just a bit. Also, we have quite the shame to hang our heads in, USC fans, because Notre Dame took us to the woodshed as we thought they would if we didn't play defense. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready to rock and roll, because we are ready and strapped in. It's about that time for 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your directory for all that is sports. Welcome, college football fans. Well, here we go. It's about that time. We are ready and set, and I'll tell you, we've had ourselves one quite of a of a season so far. Today's show, of course, titled, and this one's a funny one, but The Mighty Falls as the Underdogs want it all. And it's the truth, y'all. We take a look at some of these underdogs, man. Of course, I didn't mention this either, but another mighty last week had fallen. We talked about it. We were thinking it couldn't be. This could be, could North Dakota State really lose another game? They lost to South Dakota, not the Jacks, but the Coyotes. South Dakota. Last week, they played the Fighting Hawks and of UND. And ladies and gentlemen, UND will hand North Dakota State their second loss of the season. They are officially out of the top 10. It's crazy. And these smaller schools are fighting, man. We see of course, that's the FCS. We see teams like Montana, the Grizzlies, who used to be some top dogs in the FCS. Well, this school right now, they just had themselves a moment. They're realizing that Montana State is just jumping, and this team is looking strong, and Montana's sitting there going, wait, we used to be the top dogs in the state, and we used to be pretty dang relevant in the country, and they are having that moment where they are making it happen, guys. They're actually making some strides. Can they push towards the top before the playoffs? So many crazy things going on. Every single level. It's been fun. High school has been something else this year. Nothing crazy and eventful this past week. But I'll tell you, now that Mater Dei has fallen, as we thought, Bishop Gorman would take number 1, and they did. They have one more game left in the regular season. If they don't mess this up somehow, I don't know. I still feel like St. John Bosco. Well, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But anyway, so many things to get into today, and lots of fun. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, welcome me, my co-host. He is the host of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, as well as Set Point. Those are our SoCal and volleyball shows here at iSports Radio. He has an amazing job every single week. He is also iSports Radio Hall of Famer, and this man does so many things for us on YouTube. It's amazing. Organizes the entire freaking thing, man. This guy is awesome. Love to have him. Glad to call him my brother, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Taryn Rodriguez. What's going on today, brother? How you doing, man?
Hey, Larry B. Great to be aboard, and I'm ready to talk some college football, some high school football, and yeah, it's been somewhat of an exciting week for the college football scene. Maybe not so much in terms of high school, but it's going to be a fun week to recap.
Oh, that's for dang sure, man. You have a game that you were at last night, I believe, that you were pretty hyped up about.
Yep. It was a Battle of the Bay between Newport Harbor and Corona Del Mar. And that is probably one of the best high school football rivalries in California, if not the best high school rivalry in California. Because it was a sold out crowd, and I think it was packed to the brim in the stands for both sides.
It was insane to think how this whole thing planned out. Darren, I mean, hey, we're already on the topic, man. We're starting off as always with some high school football. For that, how about that game last night, man? What was? I mean, we know the outcome at least. For those who don't, let everybody know. But how about that game last night, man? And talk about just the emotion, the raw energy. I mean, it seems like it was a very fun game to be at.
Yeah, and Newport Harbor did come out on top, winning 21-20 as they snapped Corona Del Mar's 10-game winning streak in the rivalry series. And it was a long time coming for the Sailors because their coach had never won the rivalry game, which was big time right there. And I know Corona Del Mar did have a new head coach, but their coach was familiar with the rivalry as he was the offensive coordinator prior to that game. But this rivalry game was also a big time league game, so Newport Harbor winning does get them closer to the playoffs. But it was just sheer pandemonium after the game as the students just stormed the field, and they had been waiting like a long time to storm the field. So now they could finally say, "Hey, I stormed that field because my team won Battle of the Bay in football." And like I said, it's if you haven't been to a Battle of the Bay game and you're in the area or near the area, do your best to try to go to that game or at least try to catch it on Bally Sports because it actually was broadcasted on Bally Sports. It was the game of the week, and it was also live streamed on the school's YouTube page where I got to do color commentary on it.
That's really cool, man. Well, I'll tell you, man. That's a major college high school football game with a lot of guys who are already committed. I'm sure to lots of big schools, and it's really neat that I mean. CDM, man, this team, historically has been so strong. Newport Harbor last year, of course, because they've really been asserting themselves in like the last decade. And you know what? It's really cool to see this rivalry just get stronger and better versus one sided, I'm sure, of the way it used to be.
Right, and I totally agree. And Corona Mar does have a really good quarterback in Caleb Bennett. He's actually going to Boise State, so Mountain West, get ready. You're going to be seeing a big time quarterback, and he was very shifty. He is very unpredictable, and I basically knew what he was doing for the most part. And eventually, Newport Harbor did catch on in the late stages of the game, and they made the stops to eventually get the ball back and go into victory formation.
That's amazing, man. Well, I'll tell you right now, this is super cool to see, and man, you gotta love it. You gotta love these youngsters going out there, balling out, having fun, enjoying themselves, and that's what it's all about, man. So when it comes down to it, this team, this Newport Harbor team, and we've seen them go pretty deep in the playoffs before. And Taryn, I think they may make another run come for it this year.
Yeah, I think that they can as well. It's been a little bit of an up and down season. Obviously, they have a new quarterback, Jaden O'Neal, who has a bunch of offers ranging from like the University of Miami to like the University of Arizona and whatnot. And then they have a four-star receiver who was committed to Oregon, Jordan Anderson. Now, unfortunately, yesterday wasn't really his best game. He actually had two touchdown passes that he unfortunately dropped. But it's one of those games, unfortunately. And then you've got an underrated two-way player in Josiah Lamarque. I think he's going to be a great impact player no matter where he goes. He has an offer to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, so that's an FCS school. Mm-hmm. And then And then there are just a lot of underrated guys that should have offers from both schools that should be like offered. But going back to Newport Harbor, yeah, I think they definitely can make a deep run in the playoffs. And if they play their cards right, they could, hence the word could, win another championship like they did back in 2021.
Well, we shall see, Taryn. So, getting to the national stage, brother, here we go, man. We knew it was going to happen when Modern Day fell to St. John Bosco. Taryn, there's a new number one in the house, man. Sorry, I keep thinking of St. John Bosco. Sorry, Bishop Gorman out of Las Vegas, man. This team, we knew it. We talked about it last week. Is there any surprises here that they are now number one in the country?
No.
None whatsoever, right? We all knew it. Like, it's a given. This team is strong. They have everything they need. They have tons and tons and tons of weapons. I mean, you guys, if we sat talk about all these players, man, Audric Harris, Micah Capana, we have Elijah Lofton, Prince Williams, Hayden Stepp. I mean, it just keeps on going, y'all. Michael Alejado. I mean, this is a team full of very, 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 very good talent. Lots of these guys are on their way to big schools, and it's really cool to see the change of the tide here. Once again, we're SoCal guys, so we want to see our SoCal teams up there. But hey, I mean, Bishop Gorman, they're not too far. They're in Vegas, so. But regardless, Darren, kind of just a chill week in high school, right? We didn't see much. Every single team won. St. John's Prep, currently number one. They would win their game. They are now 6-1 on the season. Mill Creek, they got their way in, beating Buford last week. They have now number 9. Buford has crazy. They have dropped actually to number 17. So we see that. But Kahuku, they are currently number 8. They have played all 10 games now, and I think it's playoff time for them in Hawaii over there. But very good with their claim to fame victory this year over St. John Bosco. We have North Shore. They're 7-0. They just finished. Well, they finished up another great victory, as well as Duncanville. They're 6-0. They are currently number 6, so they're 7-6. Some Texas love right there. North Shore out of Houston and Duncanville out of Duncanville up there towards the heart of Texas. Of course, we have Modern Day now at number 5, which just pains me to see them down there. We have the IMG Academy now at number 4. St. John Bosco is now at number 3 at 7-1. Chaminade Madonna, they are currently at number 2 at 7-0, and then Bishop Gorman at number 1 at 9-0. Taryn, I just want to throw us out there, and this isn't to be a jerk or rain on anyone's parade, but this year, Bishop Gorman has played extremely good football. They have won a tremendous amount of games. They would defeat teams such as our very own here in 2 of them in SoCal, Long Beach Poly and Corona Centennial. Even Central Miami, which now has found their way, I think, out of the top 25. I don't know. They're having a rough year. They're 3-3 now. But Taryn, if you look at it, man, I mean, this is something that a lot of people are talking about. Okay, actually, Bishop Gorman is now 10-0. Sorry, but Taryn, this is something a lot of people are talking about, and this is when, because we all know it's going to happen. St. John Bosco and Modern Day meet again in the CIF Open playoff. One of those teams is going to win. Then one of them is going to go to state, play on that stage, and they're going to win California. That's not a knock on anybody else, but we just know those 2 schools have been in power for a good while now. Will St. John Bosco leapfrog Bishop Gorman or even Modern Day, when and if either one of them go all the way once again to state and earn another, California title? Do you think Max Preps will leapfrog Bishop Gorman and place Modern Day or St. John Bosco over Bishop Gorman, even if Bishop Gorman does do their 10-0 thing, win state again in Vegas? I mean, what do you think, Taryn? This is a big topic.
Yeah, and it's gonna have to consider strength of schedule and who the better opponents they've beaten two, they've beaten R and whatnot. And it's a lot of numbers when it comes to that whole thing. And honestly, I want to give the edge to Bishop Gorman if they run the table and go undefeated compared to Bosco or Mater Day, just because they do have the one loss. But I'm not sure. I just feel maybe based on strength of schedule, you'd probably give the edge to Mater Day or
Mm-hmm.
Bosco. And I think maybe Mater Day would maybe have that edge. I don't know how truly good Kahuku is, but if Kahuku also wins their state and whatnot, then maybe we consider that not being too bad of a loss for St. John Bosco if they just so happen to win it all. So it's just going to be a numbers game, and I think maybe to answer your question, maybe Mater Day and St. John Bosco run the table. And it also depends on how convincingly they win in some of their matchups in the playoffs.
Absolutely, Taryn. I think you hit it on the head there, brother. It's hard. It's hard to say it, but it's true, man. I mean, if you look at St. John Bosco, now this team is 8-1. I'm sorry, all the teams who won last night, of course, they all went up from the record I said earlier. Sorry, they haven't updated it here on Max Preps in the overall ranking. But Taryn, this team here, St. John Bosco, of course, we look at who they played. Of course, Liberty, both Gorman and Liberty. And St. John Bosco played them, but then they play a crazy team, St. Thomas Aquinas. I think Bishop Gorman played them as well. But then they go up and play this year the Friendship Collegiate Academy. Of course, they play St. Francis Academy. We know they kind of just fell off. They lost to Kahuku, which was a huge upset. And then they just run the table pretty much in the Trinity League because that's what they're going to do. I'm pretty sure they're going to smash Orange Lutheran the way that Mater Day did last night or 2 nights ago. But, and then you consider Bishop Gorman's schedule, and you're like, okay, well, who did they play? And yeah, I mean, Corner Canyon out of Draper, Utah, a good team, Then they played Long Beach Poly. It's not that they're not relevant because they're still a very strong school, but they're a little bit lower. They're in the top 100, but they're there. Central, that was a game that they won, but we've come to see Central this year has been a dud, unfortunately. Corona Centennial, that's a top 20 team right there. I think they're actually number 20 at the moment. Once again, Liberty, and then they run the table pretty much. That's their league. They run the table in their league, and that's pretty much it. So, Taryn, that's really hard, man. I really feel like Bishop Gorman did their best to schedule some very good opponents this year. And it would just be disheartening for them to be stripped of that, even if they go undefeated. But it's true, man. Bishop, if you look at St. John Bosco again, it's just such a hard one, man, because they definitely played some monsters, and that one loss to Kahuku is really gonna hurt them. So I don't know, Darren. This is really tough when it comes to ranked. I do feel that Bosco definitely had it, has a little bit of an edge. And then you look at Mater Day, man. I mean, yeah, they lost to a team that they could lose to any year because these two are the best two teams in the country. I still believe that, but they knock off Centennial, Bingham in South Jordan, Creekside, another school there. They beat Kahuku very handedly. St. Francis Academy, I mean, they beat everybody, but they lost to the one team that's like on their level. That's like two gods in the Marvel universe fighting each other, and one of them just happens to beat the other one. You know what I mean? I don't know, Aaron. It's just, it's not like they lost to just anybody. Now, I'm not calling Kahuku just anybody. So I don't know, Aaron. I kind of feel like if St. John Bosco runs the table, I feel like Bishop Gorman will actually stay number one and win the national championship. But if Mater Day runs the table and defeats St. John Bosco in the playoffs and everything and wins the Open and all that, I kind of feel like Mater Day will leapfrog Bishop Gorman. Is that fair to say, Taryn, or do you disagree with that?
I think it's a little logical just because, well, let's say Mater Day defeats Bosco by a good lump sum. Then that kind of makes the league game a little bit relevant just because when it comes to playoff time, nothing really matters in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could lose by 100 in the regular season to that opponent, but if you play them again, you could actually beat them, and it wouldn't mean anything in the regular season. So For Mater Dei, I think you would definitely make a good point. If Mater Dei does run the table and they wind up winning everything, I think they would be the national champs. But if Bosco winds up running the table and winning everything, I think Gorman would be the national champs. And honestly, I don't think Bosco has done anything too drastic outside of the Mater Dei win to make me say Bosco is a national champ. And this is no knock on them.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is one of their big national championship years. But honestly, if it weren't for that Kahuku loss, then I'd be singing a different tune about them.
Yeah.
But I think Gorman being undefeated and scheduling tough to the best of their ability is looking like a good consensus number one in the nation.
Agreed, Darren. I think we wholeheartedly agree on this, man. So anyway, high school has been fun, but dude, getting into the JUCO ranks, man, going over to the 3C2A first. Taryn, what the crap, bro? This is crazy. Okay, we know that the 3C2A likes to rank, of course, according to scores. This last pass, and it is what it is. Don't knock on them, whatever. It's what they do. But Taryn, this is kind of crazy. They do like to do. This is why, of course, I think you see teams blowing other teams out as much as they possibly can. Last week, of course, Riverside will blow out Grossmont 63-0. But San Francisco will blow out San Joaquin Delta 64-3. Darren, this has got to stop, man. They go to points, basically, if you have the same record. City College of San Francisco now has 267 points scored, where Riverside City now has 265 points scored. They both have the same record. Riverside was just ahead of CCSF last week, but now because the Rams have 2 more points than the Tigers, they will leapfrog for number 1, putting Riverside back at number 2. Taryn, yes, of course I'm a homer and I love my Tigers. If they deserve to be at 2, cool. And I get it. This is something that we can make a tiebreaker for. But I don't know, Taryn. Is points the answer? Because then you're going to get teams like freaking just running up the damn score, and it looks very unsportsmanlike. I mean, I don't know, Taryn. What do you think, man? I mean, do you feel that points is the answer when it comes to a tiebreaker?
Absolutely not, because if you're basing everything on points and how you basically crushed one really bad team, then honestly, that's not the way to go. You should base it on, again, strength of schedule and basically the rank of your opponent at the time of when you played that opponent, not just the number of points that you've scored. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
teams are going to be running up the score, and we'll be seeing like big time shutouts. And it's not going to be healthy for the game, and it's also going to proc teams to leave in their starters and eventually run up the score and make teams just feel demoralized about themselves, knowing that they couldn't put up any points and they gave up this many points to one team, all because that one team wanted to have a tiebreaker. That's because that's how the 3C2A works.
Yeah, I think it's horrible. That system needs to change because then you see these all horrible lopsided scores. That's a turnoff to a lot of people. So I don't know. It's just not. I don't know. It's just kind of. But anyway, Darren, that's how the cookie crumbled this last past week. Modesto gets a nice victory. They're 3-3. They're still ranked pretty high. Reedley will hand Contra Costa their first loss of the season, 31-21. Man, the Comets will fall at home, and Reedley still looks pretty strong, high up in the ranks there. And really, it was kind of uneventful. I mean, we had Mount San Antonio knocking off Cerritos 29-7. Cerritos fall to 3-3, and Mount San Antonio to 6-0. I mean, it wasn't the most eventful week, Darren. Because hey, Mount San Jacinto got their first victory. They defeated Southwestern, who is just really bad this year. But 2 teams entered at 0-5, and somebody was going to win, and Mount San Jacinto did. They scored 48 points to Southwestern 16, so Mount San Jack has their first victory. Go Eagles, 48-16, once again over Southwestern this last past week in their new beautiful stadium. So, Darren, it's just crazy. We had so many crazy games. Long Beach looks like they are kind of fakers now, man. They looked pretty good at the start of the season. They were ranked pretty good. I don't know, man. I mean, not fakers, but I don't know. East Los, man, ELAC will defeat them 54-27. And that was in Veterans Memorial Stadium, I think is what they call it. But yeah, Darren, Long Beach, man, just having a very, very tough loss there. The Vikings just getting a nasty loss handed to them from the Huskies. Anything from last week that you thought was eventful in the 3C2A, Darren?
Well, you mentioned Mount San Antonio beating Cerritos. That's a big win for Mount San Antonio. They're still undefeated. And then we had a thriller of a game as it was not Modesto, Sacramento City. It was Fresno City defeating Sequoias 31-28. I thought that was kind of a little bit of an underrated matchup, even though it's Fresno City's not really the Fresno City we've seen in the past. But all in all, we had ourselves a good week of football. Some good, nice little scores right here and there, and some nice little matchups.
Exactly. And I think, of course, City College of San Francisco got their points definitely. I mean, they're putting more points up. They defeated Laney last night, actually, 32-15. A little Oakland versus San Francisco battle. That's a rivalry game for those of you who've seen Last Chance U. Laney is having a very tough year. They're 1-6, and the Rams went and knocked off the Eagles 32-15 yesterday. So very tough little battle of the Bay up there. And then on to today, Taryn. We got some pretty good games. Nothing absolutely insanely crazy. But I will tell you this, we got some pretty good ones. Number 7, American River taking on number 5, Butte. We have number 17, Citrus taking on number 15, Cerritos. That should be a very good game. Number 13, Contra Coast taking on number 20, Modesto. Number 24, Sequoias taking on number 9, Reedley. And number 22, Allen Hancock taking on number 12, College of the Canyons. How about those games, Darren? Do you like any of those?
Yeah, we got ourselves a good amount of games. And I forgot to mention, Saddleback is on a tear. They've won 4 in a row.
Hey!
Yeah, started off 0-2, but now they've risen from the grave. The Palomar-Fullerton game should be quite interesting. Palomar coming off of a loss to Saddleback, but this time they get an even bigger challenge in Fullerton. And then the American River Butte game, I think that'll be a little bit underrated as well. That's the I Wear Pink for This Person game, aka the breast cancer awareness game. So good stuff right there. So all in all, another great slate of games this week, and I'm excited. Maybe I don't know, Ventura, Antelope Valley. Not sure about that one. I know your RCC Tigers are going to take care of business. Mount Sac, East LA is going to be fun, and I think, yeah. I think El Camino Santa Barbara, also a fun little matchup right there. So maybe more Park Bakersfield. So those are just some of my notable matchups.
Definitely some good stuff there, Taryn. Also, I do want to mention this one right here. As you said earlier, I did not know that. Good job for the Gauchos, man. How about that? 4 in a row. And today, Taryn, and this is no knock to the Griffins, but dude, Saddleback is playing Grossmont today on the road. Do you think Saddleback can go 5 in a row?
Yes, I definitely think so. And actually, the Saddleback changed their mascot name from Gauchos to the Bobcats.
Oh, that's right, they did. They're the Cats. I'm sorry. Taryn, it's hard for me because I played them a long time ago as when they were the Gauchos. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean. So we hated them. So it's like, but we got respect for the name. So they did change their mascot. That was like 2 years ago, wasn't it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't too far back. I remember back when OCC, when I attended there, they used to play Saddleback, and they were known as the Gauchos. So a lot has changed in the last few years.
Oh, it's crazy, Darren. So jumping on over to the NJCAA. Dude, how about this, man? Last week there were some fun ones, but this one has to take the cake. Butler is a good football team. They're slept on a lot. They would head on over to Iowa Central and hand them their first loss of the season. They were 5-0. Now they're 5-1. 45-10, man. Butler had something to prove. And they definitely made this game a huge victory here. Also, Trinity Valley over Navarro, 41-24. A nice Texas victory. Well, Texas game there. Once again, not too eventful. We talked about this last week. A lot of these weren't very eventful at all. But moving forward to today, dude, we got a couple barn burners today, man. I think we got, of course, my favorite one is going to be number 4 Trinity Valley versus number 3 Kilgore. Taryn, this is it, dude. This has major championship implications in it. Whoever wins this thing is definitely probably going to be in that top 4. Remember, they do that old BCS style type deal there, so the top 4 get in for their playoffs, so they have that voting system. Well, no, I'm sorry. They did do the BCS type deal. They run a little college football playoff type deal now. And, it's interesting to see these two teams go out. I'm happy. This is a all-Texas battle again. This should be so much fun. Number 2, Iowa Western takes on number 7, Butler. Butler just defeated Iowa Central. Can they knock off the Reavers? I don't think they can, because you and I keep on saying, Taryn, Hutchinson and Iowa Western are on that collision course. We do feel that they're on that collision course to meet again in the championship, but we'll see. Number 15, Northeast Mississippi taking on number 11, East Mississippi, of course. A little last chance U action there for you. And then number 9, Iowa Central will be taking on number 14, Dog City. Darren, there's some good games here today, man.
Yeah, and you mentioned the big time matchup going into the little NJCAA segment, Trinity Valley versus Kilgore. That's actually the Hall of Fame game.
Oh,
now I wish I kind of brushed up on who was getting inducted, but honestly, that game is so big they must have billed it as the Hall of Fame game, and it's being played in the St. John Memorial Stadium, so that's got a lot of implications right there. You mentioned Iowa Western Butler, battle of 2 top 10 teams. That is going to be big time right there. So I'm really excited for those matchups and the other matchups that you mentioned right there. I think we're in for a great week of NJCAA football.
Oh, we really are. So we got some great stuff going on there in the NJCAA. Definitely, man. I'm going to be glued. I hope they have the video link up. They do in that Hall of Fame game, because Trinity Valley and Kilgore, both these teams are so dang good, and I look forward to seeing them go head-to-head, man. I really want to watch this game if possible today. So next up, man, we've run on over to, let's go head on over to the NAIA, dude, because as I said earlier, Cavante Baker, man, from Friends University. They're friends, man. They're friends, Taryn, out of Kansas. This sophomore quarterback rushed for 122 yards and threw for a career-high 19 yards. Dude, how about that, man? He accumulated 4 touchdowns in a 35-20 victory over number 6 ranked Southwestern out of Kansas, and he leads the nation in rushing touchdowns with 16. Darren, he's going somewhere. I don't know where he's going, but he's going somewhere. All right, he's going to be wearing someone's jersey, making them very happy in next year. This guy's looking good. We have also the defensive player of the week is Nate Frey out of Marion, Indiana. We know Marion from a couple years back, champions there in the NAIA. He is the DB, and he led all players in the game from the safety position with a career high of 13 tackles, which is absolutely awesome. The guy was everywhere, and that's certainly not easy to rack up, especially as a safety. I mean, you sometimes get a lot of the one-on-ones back there, but it can be kind of tough, especially when somebody breaks through with a run. So, broke up a pass and made a tackle for loss for his best game as a Knight ever, which is pretty awesome. And he helped Marion defeat number 10 Concordia, Michigan last week. Well, Concordia out of Michigan, so that's pretty awesome. And then, of course, hats off to Special Teams Player of the Week, NAIA Special Teams Player of the Week, Cole Thompson, also out of Friends University, out of Kansas. He's a freshman kicker. He made 5 of 6 kicks, including both field goal attempts that included a career-high 49-yarder. He helped upset, of course, we're going to talk about this, but yeah, man, crazy to think, man. Friends, once again, they just upset number 6th ranked Southwestern, which is crazy. And then he punted twice, with one landing inside the 20, along with a 47-yard kickoff. Dude, how about these players of the week in the NAIA, man?
Yeah, they're all definitely well-deserved of their honor, and they definitely deserve it based on their stats and their performance, just because when you have monster games, you need to be recognized for that, especially the players from Friends. And that's not an easy team to beat in Southwestern.
Oh, no. Taryn, that was pretty crazy last week. I mean, we didn't even talk about this game because it was very easy for us to say well, Southwestern is going to win this game. But, dude, Friends, I mean, it was a great game, man. Very, very, very good game here. Friends, it was crazy. In the first quarter, 3-0 Friends. Then Friends will score another 9 points and 12-0 at the half. Then they score another 9 points, dude. Southwestern scores 7 of their own. They make a nice fourth quarter push with 13 points, but Friends answers back with 14 points of their own. Dude, they had that game from the start.
Yeah, and honestly, when it came down to it, when you have the upper hand, it just makes the game a little bit more easier. But when you're playing from behind, you basically have to do everything in your power to try to come back and rally, and it just makes the game a whole lot tougher when you have to play from behind.
That's for dang sure, man. Brandon Howell, Southwestern quarterback. A lot of people, he's certainly amongst one of the best in the country. He threw for 204 yards, man. He threw 2 TDs, but he had 2 interceptions. Kind of rough on his part. But Kavonte Baker, once again, man, gets going all about it. The guy was everywhere. Just absolutely incredible. He threw to so many different receivers, too. Including, well, actually only threw to 3. I don't know why I thought so many, but pretty crazy, man. I mean, Jet Chatham gets the touchdown. We get Caden Lee with a touchdown as well. Both these guys got kind of crazy. They actually both got 41 yards here. But really, man, and Austin Pratt got 37 yards. But just a very, 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 very good game for these guys. And it was certainly something for this Friends University team. So anyway, so really, really, really cool to see that happening. And once again, nothing major. The NAIA last week, I mean, Kaiser would blow out Warner 69-6. Kaiser's definitely the warpath is there, and I'm happy to see them, get on this thing and get on it. But I don't know. After they lost, a game this year is kind of tough. Can they get back in that championship though? We'll see. Montana Western, another top team, defeats Rocky Mountain 27-20. Rocky Mountain is not ranked. I don't know why. They seem they're a pretty good team here. But anyway, so Morningside defeats Dakota Westland 27-3. Another big victory there from a major team, Taryn. How about Benedictine putting up 59 points on Central Methodist? This was 59-21 this past week as well. Lindsey Wilson had themselves a tough one here in the Battle of Highway 55, defeating Campbellsville, Kentucky, 35-14. And yeah, Taryn, just a couple notable games here. We talked about Marion escaping this one. It was a close one, 14-7 over Concordia of Michigan. And Reinhardt, they've fallen back in the ranks, but man, they definitely got themselves a nice victory here last week, 57-0 over St. Andrews. So there we go right now, a little NAIA action. Today we got some good ones, man. Number 10, College of Idaho, taking on number 7, Carroll out of Montana. That is going to be good. If you can find the stream for that game, that should be a freaking great game. And then number 22, Dort, taking on number 1, Northwestern. Of course, those Red Raiders. That I want to say it'll be a good one. Don't know if it'll be, because Northwestern is just an extremely good football team, lights out. They can totally win it this year again. But yeah, Taryn, how about those, man? Any of those you looking forward to today in the NAIA?
Well, to go back to the Marion Concordia one, honest matchup from last week, that was definitely a great game. Marion did get shut out in the second half, but their defense rose to the occasion. Both teams had pretty great defenses. So I want to see how they do against St. Francis. I want to say that one might not be as easy as most people think it is. Maybe Missouri Valley Benedictine might be a matchup to watch for. But honestly, I'm just looking forward to every one of these matches, and I think it's going to be a nice little fun matchup. I think College of Idaho and Carroll might be an underrated matchup. I feel those two are rivals.
Yeah, that's the one, dude. I'm telling you, I highlighted that one. That's the one right there. So I'm looking forward to that game today. So moving on over to D3, Taryn. Last week, number 2. They have climbed up to number 2 again. Mount Union, man. Those Purple Raiders just lay it on Capital. Looks like another purple team. 76-0. Absolutely crazy. This team keeps on destroying everybody. Mary Hardin Baylor has fallen all the way to 23. It's so crazy to see it, but they would get themselves a nice victory, 37-13 over Sul Ross State. So we had some of those big major blowouts. North Central, of course, the champions from last year, 75-3 over Milliken. The upsets, or not the upsets, the beatdowns continue. But there was one game that was really crazy. It looks like a rivalry game here, or at least a Wisconsin game. Okay, all Wisconsin game. The Warhawks of Whitewater take on River Falls. Dude, this was a close one, near upset. Whitewater, though, escapes River Falls with a 21-14 victory, man. They were close to defeat in that game. Very, very, very good game, though. And those Wisconsin teams, man, they do not disappoint. Certainly a fun one, and definitely got to enjoy those. But anyway, Taryn, there wasn't really anything in D3 this week, and there's no games this week that are like really notable. Just a bunch of ranked teams that are pretty much gonna probably destroy the smaller team, and we could see some upsets here. But I don't know. D3 is a little uneventful right now, Taryn. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think this was the division that I said that we would get like one or two upsets, which I guess that's my bad. But going back to the Wisconsin rivalries, yeah, I totally agree with you. I think those in-state rivalry matchups are always tough to predict, and honestly, those are kind of great atmospheres, and it's never easy to win in a rivalry matchup, especially in an in-state rivalry. So I gotta give props to University Wisconsin Whitewater. That was definitely a thriller of a matchup that they won, and University of Wisconsin lacrosse edging out Platteville as there was no scoring in the fourth quarter. So that was another close call for another ranked team. So all in all, we had ourselves a fun week last week, and this week should be just as fun.
It definitely should, Aaron. Moving on over to D2. Dude, it happened. It happened last year. This has got to be the one. This game right here is just this is the dun 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 of the week. Because, dude, Grand Valley does it again. Grand Valley, number 4 in the country, will take on number 1 Ferris State. Last year, Grand Valley in the regular season will knock off Ferris State. And though they would meet again in the playoffs where it mattered the most, and Ferris State would knock off Grand Valley, it was still impressive to see Grand Valley knock off Ferris State once again as number 1 in the regular season. Taryn, history has repeated itself. Last year, it was on Ferris State's turf. This year, it's on Grand Valley's turf. Dude, the Lakers will knock off the Bulldogs 49-28. It was just absolutely incredible. This Grand Valley team, man, they have had quite the year. I mean, oh my gosh, they had a tough loss earlier this year to Colorado School of Mines, of course, a team that made it all the way to the championship last year. And after that, they've been on a tear. They've been on one. They got Northern Michigan coming up next week. Pretty sure they're going to finish off the rest of their season undefeated and go into the playoffs strong. But, dude, this was just something to watch. I mean, I wish we could have seen this thing here, but what a game. The Lakers, once again, upset the Bulldogs and just, I don't know, just an amazing, amazing team here. Kind of crazy here. It looks like Anthony Cardamone, I believe, or yeah, I don't want to butcher his name, but he had 6 solo tackles, 5 assists, 11 total tackles. I mean, incredible, man. And I guess a lot of these guys really, really, really woke up to the occasion. They rose to the occasion. We look at a receiver here, 74 yards for Cody Tierney, and 2 touchdowns on the game. This youngster, this quarterback, man, Cade Peterson, just continues to light it up. Really good job for him. He has a 142.3 QB rating, which is absolutely insane. He threw a pick, but made up for it in plenty of ways, man. He threw for 3 touchdowns. Rushing, how about this kid, man? Avery Moore. This youngster's on one, man. He's on 9 carries, Taryn. He had 131 yards. and 2 touchdowns. I mean, dude, it's just crazy. Like, Grand Valley rose the occasion and beat the Bulldogs. What a big victory for them, right?
Absolutely. It was a huge win for them defending their home turf and taking down the number one team in the nation. So I got to give a lot of props to Grand Valley. I think I picked Ferris State. So, yeah, that was my bad on that. But Grand Valley deserved the win. And there were some other interesting, notable matchups from last week as Harding took down Owatcha.
Ouachita Baptist. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a good
Owatcha
game,
Baptist.
too. And that was a number 9 versus number 8. And crazy Harding, I mean, if you want to call it an upset, number 9 defeated number 8 last week pretty handedly. Pretty good game there, Darren.
Yep, and Northwest Missouri upset Missouri Western. Those Missouri schools like to go at it and are really tough to predict. I
And that
think there was, and then Indianapolis kind of blew the doors off of Truman State, 38-17. So that was another big time win right there. So lots of great wins for. Oh, and this was the big upset right here. The Battle of the West. West Alabama upset West Florida 10-6. And that's probably your cup of tea.
That is definitely my cup of tea, and that's right. West Alabama, and we can't forget that's actually Tyreek Hill's alma mater, would defeat West Florida, the Argos. My cup of tea kind of a game. I'm a low-key West Florida fan, Taryn, as we've known this for years with the Argos. Kind of a bummer here for these guys, but yeah, man, 10-6 victory, defense all day. West Florida, man, will fall, and they'll still get in the playoffs, but tough go, Ben. But West Alabama should be ranked after this game.
Oh, yeah.
But definitely some good stuff there, man. Once again, you brought up Truman State, Indianapolis defeating Truman State. That, I feel like it should have been closer. I mean, it's number 14 versus number 18, but 14 was clearly some more superior than 18. But anyway, Taryn, good stuff there, man. Really, really fun stuff. Today in D2, we got some okay games. They're not the best, but number 4, Minnesota State, the Mavericks take on number 21, Augustana. Number 23, Emporia State will take on number 17, Central Missouri. Missouri school, Darren. And number 13, they have fallen, of course. Number 13, West Florida will take on number 6, Delta State. Can the Argos climb their way back into the top 10? And I know they will if they beat Delta State, but Delta State's not going to be an easy task. And then you have number 25, UT Permian Basin, taking on number 18, Angelo State. That tough Texas team there out of Texas there, of course, Angelo State. So, Darren, how about those games, man? Any notables this week for Division II?
I thought I saw a ranked game. There is Emporia State in Central Missouri, I think, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Did I miss any?
Other than, I think other than the ranked matchups, as West Florida also plays Delta State, which I'm hoping that's probably a matchup I want to see, and I want to see how West Florida comes back after losing to the unranked West Alabama. So I'm hoping they do come out with a little bit more fire in their bellies. And Delta State, if there's one thing Delta State has to be careful, is they have to be careful they're not on upset alert like West Florida was.
That's for dang sure, man. So certainly some great games here in this week of Division II football. And of course, Darren, the FCS has been fun, but oh my gosh. Neither of us could have predicted this at the start of the season. It's just one of those years, I guess, after you have a freaking decade of destruction. Okay? If you have a decade of terror, I guess maybe you're due for one of these. I don't know. Maybe not. You'd hate to say that at least. But Taryn, bro, wow, it happened, man. We were joking about this last week. We were joking. We were like, hey, wouldn't it be funny? You know, South Dakota defeated North Dakota State last week. Wouldn't it be funny if North Dakota beat them too? Ha 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 ha. Taryn, it happened. It happened. What the crap? It happened, dude. This is crazy. Last week, the week before this actually, South Dakota, the Coyotes, will defeat North Dakota State. This week, we were like, Okay, well, the Fighting Hawks of North Dakota, they're a good school. I mean, they're good in football. Definitely good in hockey, I'll tell you that. And they're national champions a couple years ago. Big time hockey school. But Taryn, we were joking. In the in-state rivalry, I think it actually became a rivalry for the first time. I mean, I don't know. I don't know these guys' record overall, but I'm almost positive that North Dakota State, at least in the last 10 years, has been stomping out North Dakota. And Taryn, UND, UND will pull this thing off. Oh my gosh. North Dakota knocks off North Dakota State and sends this team packing out of the top 10. We haven't seen North Dakota State out of the top 10. I think it's seriously been over 10 years. There's no way it was anything less than that. But, dude, it happened last week. North Dakota, and it was a beatdown, man. North Dakota defeats North Dakota State 49-24, handing them their second loss of the season. That is North Dakota's fourth victory of the season. Led by quarterback Tommy Schuster. He's actually a senior, 6 foot, 195-pound senior out of Malcolm, Michigan. He went 9 for 21, 113 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the ground, we have Gavin Zybarth. 18 carries for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he ran all over the Bison. And also, Bo Belquist. 2 receptions, 41 yards, 1 TD. Taryn, they had no answer, dude. At the half, it was 28-17. At the end of the first quarter, it was 21-7 UND. At the half, it was 28-17 UND. At the end of the third quarter, there was 1 touchdown scored by UND, 35-17, and final score 49-24, where the Fighting Hawks will add on 2 more touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Taryn, what's happening to the Bison?
Well, I think everyone else is starting good as opposed to them not getting so good. As North Dakota, they really just kicked into high gear when North Dakota State got within 4. Because that is, if you're doing your math correctly, that is a whopping 28 unanswered points from North Dakota after they allowed North Dakota State to get within 4 points. So I gotta give a lot of props to North Dakota, and for them to blow the doors off of North Dakota State is just absolutely amazing. And I don't think anybody predicted this.
Definitely
Not this outcome.
No, definitely not. And it's crazy to see it. We also have another game that kind of went under the radar. Youngstown State hasn't had the best year. They were champions a couple years back. But, dude, South Dakota, again, another victory. They're 5-1, man. The Coyotes are 5-1 now in the season. They defeated Youngstown State 34-31. So the 2 Dakota teams that aren't North Dakota and South Dakota impressing here. State that is. However, South Dakota State, man, I mean, they're continuing doing their thing. They're winning. They're looking strong. As I mentioned, Montana is on one right now. Montana has realized, I believe, they saw Montana State absolutely devour Cal Poly, 59-19. Montana State, or Montana, University of Montana Grizzlies, they're 6-1 on the season. This team this year came out with singing a different tune. The last couple of years, they've been kind of just, pushed out of the playoffs. Dude, they've realized that, like 10 years ago, the Grizzlies were pretty damn good. This was a feared football team. Montana, there's nothing going on in Montana, okay? Nothing. You got a bunch of coyotes and snakes and grizzly bears and not much going on in Montana, dude. It's a gigantic state with the population is like, I think, way less than the population of just Southern California on its own. I mean, it's crazy. But Montana football has been something great over the years. Not so much the Bobcats, but the Grizzlies. And, well, they haven't been relevant lately, and the Bobcats have really risen. Bobcats, of course, taking care of business this past week as well. Looking very, very good, man. The Bobcats just continue to play extremely good football, man, as we talked about earlier with that big victory. But I mean, I don't know, Taryn. I feel like that collision course game is gonna be fun, man. Seeing Montana State this year. Oh man, I hope we get to watch that one. There's a link we can watch that thing. But it's awesome seeing the FCS. I feel like the cupcake games are all but done. I mean, there's going to be a few sprinkled in towards the end of the season, but a lot of that crap is over, and we see these FCS schools, competing in their conferences and going at it. I love what we got going on, man. So, we have schools like South Dakota State continuing to do their thing, defeating Northern Iowa, 41-6, and they're looking strong. Portland State defeated NAU, Northern Arizona, 45-21. But I'm telling you, Taryn, we have some good ones, I feel, on the horizon. But the good one for me this week, this is it. This is the game. Number 2, and I thought it was number 4. But one of my buddies that I work with, shout out to Mr. Davis, great dude over at the high school workout, great guy. He is a Montana State alum, and he wore his jersey even last week, which is pretty cool. But Taryn, I saw him on the way into work yesterday, and I was like, "You ready?" And he's like, "Man," I says, number 2 versus number 4. He says, number 3. I says, "What?" He says, "Yeah, man. Sacramento State's actually jumped to number 3. They're not number 4. They're number 3." Taryn, this is the week, man. This is it. This is the game. This is gonna be such a good game. As tonight, number 2 Montana State head on over to Sacramento to take on the number 4 Sacramento Hornets. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a fun one. Who you got, Taryn?
That's going to be a definite fun one. I want to go with Montana. I'm going to go with Montana State on that one. I really think that they are producing the points, and I don't think they're going to be slowing down for anybody. I really think it's going to be a very fun matchup. Now, the only thing Montana State needs to be careful for is that the time changes. They are going to be playing on West Coast time, and I don't know if they've adjusted to playing on the West Coast, but it should be a fun game nonetheless.
No, it's true, Taryn. Good choice. I'm taking Montana State as well, but man, this team is led. I mean, look at all these athletes, man, coming here. We got Sean Chambers, of course. He is 43 for 77 with 712 yards, 5 touchdowns on the season. 1 interception. He's also led carries, which is crazy. 52 carries, 461 yards, 11 touchdowns. Thomas here, 15 receptions and 220 yards, 1 touchdown. And then you look at Sacramento State, man. Bennett, 104 for 158. He has 1,352 yards, 10 touchdowns this season. He's thrown 3 picks. Bennett's also led carries, calling his own number. 80 carries this year, which is crazy, for 327 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then Gibson, 15 receptions for 297 yards and 1 touchdown. I mean, dude, this is going to be quite the showdown. But yeah, I'm definitely going Montana State in this one. That's my only notable for this week. There's other good games, I'm sure, but dude, this is the one.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's the game of the week, especially since it's going to be on national television.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. Dakota State versus Southern Illinois. That's kind of an underrated matchup. I wouldn't underestimate Southern Illinois, but I think South Dakota State should come out on top. So.
Yeah, me too. I love this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see that one as well. But yeah, Montana State, Sacramento State, ESPN2 tonight, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All people on the East Coast, man. It's a late one for you guys, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, Sam, should be a good one there. But that's going to be the one. That's going to be some fun stuff. Here we go. Division 1, Taryn. Division 1. Last week, or Division 1 Single A. Last week, our Trojans proved that they are not a good football team. I don't care what anyone else to say. They're not a good football team. I'm sorry. This team pisses me off. Notre Dame's a great school. They're a great team. Can't stand them, but they're great. And they certainly play hard football. And if you play a team like them, with a team like they have at the moment, the way that USC has been playing teams, you're going to get killed. And guess what happened? The Trojans got absolutely murdered, last week. Game of the week, you know, it was despicable. USC looked like they've never played football in their life. Not even Caleb Williams could make it happen. Okay, it was sad. It was pitiful. It was pathetic. USC is absolutely trash. This team just pisses me off. This defense, man, they can't stop. Like Marcus Lowe's great from IA Sports Radio here says, they couldn't stop a nosebleed, man. This is just one horrible defense. I can't believe it. We have Lincoln Riley as a coach. I was so confident, and here we are, man. We have a defense that just they're a wet paper bag. So Taryn, last week, how about that game, man? USC absolutely gets destroyed by Notre Dame.
Yeah, that was absolutely not pretty. And USC never had control of that game, which is just straight up disappointing. It it might have also had to do with USC playing on the road, but you have to win on the road if you want to be a contender. And USC was not a contender this past weekend. So I gotta give some props to Notre Dame, even though they just controlled the outcome of the game for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, 48-20, man. It was a beatdown. USC deserved to fall out of the top 25 after that. I mean, it was pathetic, but what do you do? Last week, Vanderbilt had Georgia on the ropes. That's pretty crazy. Georgia came back though and won that thing 37-20. Pretty crazy there. But nothing really too more eventful. I mean, there were some games we thought was going to happen. Arkansas, Alabama turned out to be a barn burner, which was absolutely amazing. But number 11 prevails, defeating the Razorbacks 28-24. Nothing that we thought would happen, but it did, which is pretty crazy. Number 7, Washington. Once again, the Pac-12 isn't competitive, don't forget. But number 7, Washington, and number 8, Oregon. Oh, what a game this was! The freaking Huskies pulled this thing off, 36-33. Just a awesome football game last week there in Seattle. Certainly a good one. Oklahoma State. I mean, poor Kansas. This team, dude, Kansas. They finally get ranked. They finally look like a relevant football team. Now it gets a basketball school, and then Oklahoma State just ruins the party. 39-32. Oklahoma State defeats number 23 Kansas, which is a crazy upset. Also, Pitt, man, defeating number 14 Louisville last week, 38-21 was a pretty crazy upset. Arizona. Another upset here, the Pac-12 upset. They absolutely destroyed number 19 Washington State, 44-6. That must have been all the pent-up aggression from losing to SC, I guess, a couple weeks ago. Number 12 will defeat number 25, the U, 41-31. Taryn, is the U back?
No.
The U is not back. And then, of course, Mizzou, man, so many upsets last week. Mizzou knocked off number 24 Kentucky 38-21. A really fun Pac-12 matchup here. Number 15 Oregon State knocks off number 18 UCLA 36-24. And they talked about that this week for sure on the SoCal Stream Sports Show. But yeah, it's Aaron. Gets all kinds of crazy games, man, going on. Of course, all the other games we don't even want to talk about because there were Michigan blowing out Indiana and Florida State blowing out Syracuse. But Taryn, how about this, man? What were some games that you just loved last week?
Some games that I loved last week. Well, I certainly did not see Pitt coming out of nowhere and defeating Louisville. That was a big win. I'm not surprised Arizona upset Washington State just because Arizona has the offense and Washington State's defense was nowhere near as effective, and their offense just could not keep up with Washington or with Arizona. And then in North Carolina, I feel they caught Miami on a bad day, especially since they had that debacle of a loss against Georgia Tech. And Missouri, Kentucky, a little surprised that Missouri came out on top against the Wildcats. But honestly, for Missouri, I think they're much better than what the rankings show.
No, totally agree, Aaron. And I think let's see what Mizzou does this week, man. Let's see what they got. They got South Carolina. That should be fun. They're actually favored by 7.5 points. So, Taryn, it's time to get some picks in, bro. We were actually getting done with the show pretty early today, which is kind of nice, just over an hour. So here we go, man. We got some picks in for today. We got some good ones. This is probably one of the only good games in the Big Ten, even though everyone swears the Big Ten is like great football or whatever. There's only three teams that are like worth a crap, and well, here we go. Two of those three teams are playing today. This is always a fun game. Number 7, Penn State at 6-0, taking on number 3, Ohio State at 6-0. Ohio State is favored by 4 points. Taryn, is it safe to say the Buckeyes are winning in the shoe today?
Uh, yeah, I think Ohio State's going to win. I want to give Penn State a chance, and I think they're going to make it close and competitive, but I think the Buckeyes eventually squeak out a win.
Yeah, I am totally, totally with you there. We have another one here. Number 17, Tennessee, who, I don't know, they're the weirdest team on this planet. I don't know. They look horrible so many weeks, but they seem to just win. And then they have a 5-1 record. It's crazy. I don't know, man. But I will say this. We have Jen B in the chat room, of course, putting up OHIO. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to win this thing today. So good stuff there, Jen. Yeah, of course, you can check her out. Of course, the show of the land on Tuesday evenings. Always a fun show there, 6 p.m. Eastern. So, but yeah, Taryn, number 17, Tennessee, number 11, Alabama. Alabama's favored by 9 points. Do you feel that Alabama will win this thing, or do you think somehow, some way, Tennessee will pull the upset?
I'm going to give the edge to Alabama. I think they're the safe choice. I don't trust Tennessee.
Yeah, that me either. I don't see that happening at all. So, anyway, Taryn, the ranked on ranks are kind of very limited this week, but number 6, or sorry, number where is it at? Number where I just lost it. Wow, there we go. Oh, there we go.
16?
It's our game, Taryn. It's our game. Number 14, Utah at 5-1. Number 18, which shouldn't be number 18. They should be like number 38 after last week. USC 6-1. USC is somehow, I don't know how, but favored by 7 points today at home in the Coliseum, the Grand Ole Lady. Taryn, I know I'm always going to take the Trojans, but I'm just going to be real as I possibly can be with you. I am very worried about this team, and I honestly think that if USC looks anything like they did last week, they are going to lose this game in horrible fashion. What do you think?
I got USC winning today, and this should be kind of their get-right game. Just because Utah didn't even have their backup, because they don't even have Cam Rising, and they don't even have Nate Johnson as their quarterback, the backup to Cam Rising. Last week they had Bryson Barnes and Devon Villay, if that's how it's pronounced. Either way, I think USC is going to have their get-right game against a backup quarterback, and Utah's not playing in Salt Lake City, so they're no longer in that protective little weathery stadium altitude-like thing. So give me USC.
Give me USC too. It's just hard because they've been terrible. And then of course, Taryn, the game of the week, dude. This should be a fun one. Number 16 Duke taking on number 4 Florida State. Duke has only lost one game this year. Once again, it's crazy these basketball schools, man. Kentucky's ranked right now. Kansas is ranked. We got Duke. UNC's ranked. What's going on, Darren? But Battle I was going to say Battle of the Blues, just because, that's coming up later this year. But that should be a fun one, actually. But Taryn, wow, dude, the only game, just think about that. I mean, we all freaked out when Duke defeated number 9 Clemson this year to start the season off. Clemson turned out to be a dud. And I mean, really, 2 weeks ago, they had Notre Dame on the ropes, man. They just couldn't close it. Notre Dame beat them. If they would have pulled that off, we'd be talking about 2 undefeateds going on here, 6-0 undefeateds. Florida State this year, of course, is tearing through everybody. But then again, I don't know, Taryn. I mean, look, and this is and hopefully Mike Pass not listening, so don't get mad at me. But Taryn, when I look at Florida State, I see a team that's beat a bunch of teams they should have beat. I mean, they went to overtime at Clemson, but Clemson's not even that good. They've lost their spark. I don't know what the hell happened, but I mean, okay, no, when they start the season off, number 5 LSU, but they beat the hell out of them. So when it comes down to it, Taryn, I mean, yeah, they're undefeated, but I don't see anything too impressive on the resume here. I mean, okay, whoop-de-doo. But then you see Duke. I mean, I get it. That's the hand they're dealt. They're playing with the schedule they have. I get that. But Taryn, you look at Duke and dude, they knock off Clemson and they barely lost Notre Dame. Another team just like this. There's not a lot of, I don't know. It's just not a lot there. So I kind of feel like this is a very even game. I really do. They have Florida State favored by 14.5 points. They're drunk, man. I don't think the Blue Devils, that's disrespectful, man. I think the Blue Devils are going to fight the hell out of the Seminoles, man. So, I don't know. This is a close game. Who are you taking tonight?
I think Florida State and their receiver core is going to be pulling out the win. Again, I think it's going to be a barn burner. I don't think this one is going to be a blowout. I think this one's going to be a fight to the finish. Heck, it might come down to the final possession, but I got the Noles winning this one.
Yeah, I know I just kind of talked bad about them both, but if I got to pick somebody, which I am, of course, I'm definitely going to take the Noles, but it's going to be a thin margin. I do not think it's going to be no 14-point game. Duke's going to fight like hell, and Duke might actually win this game. I think they actually can totally win this game. This is not, and I repeat, this is not going to be an easy game for Florida State. I don't know who thought about that, but yeah, this is going to be a fun one. So anyway, Darren, dude, it's so crazy. But we're actually out of here for the day, man. We got that music cued, and we are up on out of here. How about that? We record time here. I mean, not really, but Darren, what a good week coming up in football this week. Let's see who does what. Any last thoughts, comments, concerns, words for our listeners
today? Nothing to my knowledge, except let's enjoy the college football games. And I don't know why UCLA Stanford is on ESPN. Does that really deserve to be on the national stage? No, I don't think so. Anyway,
I'm totally with you there, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us today. Oh, always fun, man. Always a fun show. Always great having my brother Darren here. And it's been awesome. So, with that said, October. We are on the second half of October, if you will. Oh, today, next week, should be fun. November is on the rise. We're figuring out who's who. Telling you, so many upsets. The mighty have fallen. The underdogs are on their way. Let's see what happens, y'all. They want it all. Everybody does. Check us out. IE Sports Radio. Give us a follow everywhere. Show us some love. We're all over social media. Check out our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Delicious Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. PlanetJerky.net or some beef jerky. And of course, enjoy some IE Sports Radio. Head over to IESportsRadio.com. I revamped it again. We got a little ticker now on the front page, which is pretty cool. Showing all the latest sports. Check it out. Show us some love. Get you a shirt. Get you a hat. Get you whatever you got to get from our gear shop. Of course, IESportsRadio.com/shop. Check out the YouTube repository. Taryn does all the good stuff there to help us all out. And post all of our stuff in there. Check us out, y'all. Show us some love. Check out the show, Free and Out, CEIE on Twitter. Give us a follow. Lots of stuff going on there. And we will see y'all next week. Until then, for Taryn, from me, your boy Larry B, this has been Free and Out College Edition. We'll see y'all next week. Until then, take care. And as always, God bless.
Peace.